What's up, guys? Swift here, covering everything Chicago Bears with daily videos. We have a lot to cover today as the Chicago Bears cut 25 players to trim the roster down to 53 today. We also added cornerback Tavon Young to the injured reserve. Let's get right into it, and I'll tell you guys all of the players who were cut today, and then we'll go over who made the 53 and what surprises were there. The 25 players who were cut were offensive linemen Michael Schofield, Lachavious Simmons, Gene DeLance, Corey Dublin, my guy Dieter Iceland, and Sean Coleman. We cut 2 running backs, Demontre Tuggle and Darrington Evans. We cut 4 wide receivers, Kevin Shaw, Chris Fink, Isaiah Coulter, and Nasimba Webster. 2 tight ends were cut, Chase Allen and James O'Shaughnessy. The defensive line saw a lot of cuts as we cut Mario Edwards Jr., Travon Coley, Sam Kamara, Charles Snowden, and Michael Dew Treadway. Another surprise was linebacker DeMarquise Gates didn't make it. Cornerbacks Greg Stroman Jr., Thomas Graham Jr., and Devontae Harris were all cut. As I said, Tavon Young was also placed on the injured reserve. And then we cut safety A.J. Thomas, safety John Alexander, and quarterback Nathan Peterman. Some guys who made the roster include our entire rookie class, including Zachary Thomas, Jatiri Carter, Preston Ebner, and Elijah Hicks. It looks like Equanimous St. Brown, Tajay Sharp, Dante Pettis, N'Keal Harry, and Byron Pringle all made the roster along with Darnell Mooney. Jake Tongus made the roster. With James O'Shaughnessy getting cut, it looks like Tongus will be our 3rd tight end and 2nd fullback on the roster. Lamar Jackson, who had a solid preseason, also made the cut. Jack Sanborn made the roster as well. The biggest surprise cuts to me were Dieter Iceland, Thomas Graham Jr., Michael Schofield, Greg Stroman Jr., DeMarquise Gates, Travon Coley, Sam Kamara, and Mario Edwards Jr. Mario did nothing really. Schofield looked bad, and Thomas Graham Jr. has been hurt. I really want Thomas Graham Jr. back on the practice squad. I love his game. Travon Coley and Sam Kamara should both be watched for the practice squad as well. They both played very good in the preseason. Let's take a quick peek at the 53-man roster. We have 2 players on the IR currently, center Doug Kramer and cornerback Tavon Young. We had 2 quarterbacks make it, Justin Fields and Trevor Siemian. No surprises here. 3 running backs, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, and Treston Ebner. 7 wide receivers, other than Darnell Mooney, Velus Jones, N'Keal Harry, Equanimous St. Brown, Tajay Sharp, Dante Pettis, and Byron Pringle all made the team. I like how that room shaped out. We had 2 tight ends make it with Cole Kmet and Ryan Griffin. However, we also brought 2 fullbacks with Kari Blasingame and Jake Tongus. I believe Tongus should serve as the 3rd tight end as well and is the first surprise on the roster. Congrats to Jake. We brought 9 offensive linemen with Braxton Jones, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, Kevin Jenkins, Larry Borum, Riley Reef, Sam Mustipher, Jatiri Carter, and Zachary Thomas. Also, Doug Kramer is on the injured reserve. He made it as well. We then brought 8 defensive linemen with Robert Quinn, Justin Jones, Angelo Blackson, Alquadine Muhammad, Travis Gibson, Dominique Robinson, Kyrus Tonga, and Mike Pennell Jr. I expected one more D-line to stick between Mario Edwards, Travon Coley, and Sam Kamara. However, all 3 were let go. We then kept 6 linebackers with Roquan Smith, Nicholas Morrow, Matt Adams, Joe Thomas, our guy Jack Sanborn, and then Caleb Johnson. We brought 6 corners with a 7th on the IR. We kept Jalen Johnson, Tyler Gordon, Kendall Vildor, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Jones, and Duke Shelley, with Tavon Young going on the IR. I accurately predicted Lamar Jackson would make it, but I was very surprised that we kept Duke Shelley and Jalen Jones over Thomas Graham Jr. or even Greg Stroman Jr., who played very well against the Browns. We then also kept 5 safeties: Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker, Dane Cruikshank, DeAndre Houston Carson, and Elijah Hicks. No surprises here. Our safety group is very solid and possibly one of our best groups on the entire team. And then we have 3 special teamers: kicker, Cairo Santos, punter, Trenton Gill, and long snapper, Patrick Skells. We had all 11 of Ryan Pohl's draft picks make the roster, with only Doug Kramer being on the injured reserve. So 10 rookie draft picks on the roster, and then also 3 undrafted free agent rookies also made the team. Those are linebacker Jack Sanborn, fullback tight end Jake Tongas, and cornerback Jalen Jones. I haven't talked a ton about Jones, but anyone who remembers the video I did on him, he was the freshman wide receiver who caught a touchdown pass from Justin Fields at Georgia. He then moved to cornerback after Fields went to Ohio State. Congrats on making the team, Jalen. A lot of Pohl's free agent acquisitions also made the team. 18 free agents that Pohl's signed this year made the team. All that talk about Ryan Pohl's brought in nobody. 18 free agents made the roster, from high-profile guys like Lucas Patrick, Justin Jones, and Alquadine Muhammad, to a bunch of wide receivers like Dante Pettis, Equanimous St. Brown, Byron Pringle, and Tajay Sharp. The back of the roster guys like Mike Pennell and Dane Cruikshank. Overall, Ryan Pohl's completely remade this roster, adding 14 rookies to the team and bringing in an additional 15 free agents to the 53-man roster. 29 new faces out of 53 is quite a turnover. Ryan Pohl's and Ian Cunningham have put their stamp on this roster, and now we will see if there are any additional moves to make. I am excited. We have a young and hungry roster. I'm really glad with how the wide receiver room and offensive line group turned out. If I had any disappointment, it was the defensive line and cornerback. I really expected Thomas Graham Jr. to make the team, and I thought Sam Kamara or Tavon Coley could have also earned a spot. Neither was a huge deal, and all 3 guys could be added to the practice squad, so we'll keep an eye on that. But stay tuned. We have a lot more to cover. I just wanted to give you guys a first look at the 53-man roster. Let me know in the comments what cuts surprised you the most or what you would have done differently. And until next time, bear down. Whoa, real quick. Last second update here. The numbers come out right as far as our 53-man roster, but Tavon Young is tweeting out that he is not on the IR. I don't know if they just haven't told him yet or if there's still one more roster move still to come, but stay tuned on this. Tavon Young is apparently saying he's not on the IR and disagreeing with all of the Bears media reporters. So let's see what happens here, guys. Stay tuned. Until next time, bear down.